Hello, Bruce.
Hi, Simon.
How are you today?
I'm feeling relaxed. Thank you very much. How are you?
Oh, how lovely. I'm not too bad. I'm just getting over a cold and my voice is coming back to me. It was a little bit distant recently.
Yeah, it was a little bit croaky. Bit like Toad of Toad Hall. Oh, no, that was we did that on horns, didn't we?
That's right. Call back to previous episodes.
But now we're talking about something else entirely.
We are indeed.
Something which we thought would be boring.
Yes.
I mean, they are fairly boring.
They're okay.
Yeah.
It's a fairly nerdy subject, actually. It's one of those subjects that you could get an awful lot of geeks going, ooh, serial number this and patent number that and
Yes.
make and model the other.
I used to be a bus ticket geek.
Did you?
Yeah.
Ooh.
So in the olden days when you had like a bus conductor,
Yes.
they would have a machine which they'd strapped around their neck.
Yes.
And it's like a sort of a silver aluminium type machine. Then she'd turn a wheel and a bus ticket would come out of the top. And everyone had a unique serial number on it.
Okay.
And this is when I was paying 4 old pence for a bus ticket.
Bargain.
But I would add up all the numbers in the serial number and see if it was a lucky ticket. If it was a lucky ticket, and I have no idea how I calculated whether it was lucky or not, I would keep it for ages.
Oh, great. And you made your own criteria as to what justified it being a lucky number or
Exactly.
whatever.
Yeah, I can't remember why.
So you couldn't lose?
No.
Great.
So yes, like 26 could be a lucky number.
Oh, excellent.
Because it's double 13, obviously.
Well, obviously, yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, good stuff. Now, before our lovely listeners wonder why on earth they're listening to two random blokes talking about bus tickets...
They know why.
Just in case they've forgotten. I'm Simon Wells.
I'm Bruce Fielding.
And together we are... Wild Stallions! No. And you are listening, either on purpose or by mistake, to... Factoraly. How would you describe Factoraly, Bruce?
I wouldn't. I think it's indescribable. It's a podcast. We love facts. We're nerds. We love useless information, or as we would call it, useful information.
Indeed.
So we talk about stuff.
We do. And you lovely people at home listen to us because we are like-minded. You like random facts and you like having knowledge imparted to you.
There's that, you see, or there's also the people who listen to us just to get to sleep. Because we can do very nice sleepy voices.
Yes, we can, and we frequently do.
Yeah, so this episode is all about buses.
Yes.
They're good for you, buses.
Are they?
Yeah, they are.
Would you have one prescribed on the NHS?
Well, no, they're environmentally friendly, and
Yes.
and they have a lower carbon footprint per passenger than any other mode of transportation.
Really?
They're only responsible for like 2% of road fatalities in the EU.
Huh.
They make the air cleaner. They can help with traffic congestion. One bus can replace 30 cars.
Crikey.
Yeah.
It's quite a lot of cars,
It
actually.
is a lot. Sweden has decided that it's going to be completely fossil fuel free. And part of that is the buses.
Oh, really?
And in fact, by 2018, they were the first world capital to have a completely 100% renewable energy bus service.
Gosh. 2018?
Yeah.
That's quite a while back now.
Their plan is to ensure all of their buses run on biodiesel, biogas and ethanol by this year.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Well done, Sweden.
I know. Good on you, Stockholm. So why do we call them buses? Actually, do you know what? It's not just us that calls them buses. Everybody calls them buses. If you go all over the world and you say, can you show me to the bus? I mean, sometimes they're called autobus or sometimes they're called
Oh, I see, yes.
motobus or something. But they've all got the word bus in
They've all
them.
got the word bus. Oh, I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Yeah, so why are they called buses?
So bus is short for omnibus, which means for everyone.
Okay.
The bus is actually a French invention.
Shall we give the French credit? Let's give
Yeah,
the French.
go on.
Go
Why
on.
not?
Well done, the French.
Well done, French. Because of the nature of who we are, Bruce and I are both Londoners and we love all things London related. So this episode may be a little London bus centric. So I feel a little bit disappointed that we didn't invent the thing.
Yes, the first bus line in the world was started in Paris
Right.
in 1662.
What?
I know. This is before anything else. It was just a horse and carriage. It carried up to 8 passengers. And it was invented by a very interesting guy, a guy called Blaise Pascal.
Oh, I've heard of him.
You've heard of him because he's a physicist.
Yes.
He's a maths guy.
Yeah.
He invented the hydraulic press.
Yes.
So these were called carrosses à 5 sous. They're five-penny coaches.
Okay.
And these were really popular. It's like everyone, well, let's get a 5-penny coach. But then they were sort of a bit of a novelty, and the novelty wore off. I mean, it was. I mean, Pascal was obviously a forward-thinking guy, and it was an idea well ahead of its time. But it was only used by posh people, and they're sort of the trend for them kind of wore off after about 10 years.
Okay.
But then 150 years later, something happened.
Yeah, it did. So this is where we actually first get the word bus attached to this kind of service. So around this time, we're talking in the 1820s, again in France. Everyone up to this point, if you were poor, you walked. If you were rich, you had your own personal horse and carriage.
I thought you were going to say you went piggyback on your servants.
Yes, much better. But there was a French flour mill owner called Stanislas Baudry, which is a very un-French name for a Frenchman to my ears, but there you go. This fellow owned a flour mill. He had a steam engine at the mill to drive the mill wheel, and as part of the process of generating steam, he ended up with a lot of spare hot water. Mm-hmm. And being an enterprising fella, he thought to himself, "Well, I know, I'll make a public bath. I'll take
like a spa.
Yeah, like a spa. Yeah,
yeah. Spa day at the
flour mill. Exactly. Yeah. So he set up this little spa, this little bathhouse next to the mill, and charged people to come in and take the water. It became quite popular, and he eventually decided to lay on a coach and horses to bring people to his mill, which was sort of outside of town in Nantes. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And so he set up this coach service, and people sort of realised that actually they could get on this coach service to his mill and get on and off other places along the way. So people sort of started using it for their own personal public transportation.
Like a hop on, hop off.
Yes, exactly that, yeah. And there was this fella, Baudry, who came up with the name for it, and he called it the voiture omnibus, meaning vehicle for all.
Okay.
That got shortened to omnibus, that got shortened to bus, that's where we get buses. And this was all in 1826. He then took the idea of this public service to Paris and tried to sort of set up the first regular running bus route in Paris in 1828. I wonder whether he realised it had already happened 150 years earlier.
Probably. Apparently, one of the reasons it was called the omnibus was because there was a hat shop in Nantes.
Right.
Called Omnes Omnibus.
Really?
And on the front of the bus, that was where it was going.
Oh, I see.
So that was the terminus. Was Omnes Omnibus. So the omnibus had the word omnibus at the front of the bus.
That's brilliant. This idea then sort of really took off in Paris, and they started having regular public bus services in Paris, and then only a year later it came to London. So London started their horse-drawn bus services in 1829.
So 1 year out.
Yeah.
Well, while we're in London, shall we talk about London buses?
I think we should, since we're here.
So what colour is a London bus?
These days, I would say it's red.
Well, these days they're kind of covered in advertising, but underneath the advertising.
Yes. They still have some red bits.
They do. Why are they red?
So they're red because shortly after this service sort of took off in London in 1829, there were lots of different companies that offered bus routes to and from different places. Uh-huh. And their coaches were generally coloured in their own personal livery company colours.
Okay.
So you sort of had some green, brown, maroon, yellow.
Okay.
And then in 1856, the London General Omnibus Company, which I don't like saying too often because it's quite a mouthful.
Call it the LGOC.
We'll call it the LGOC. They turned up. They started taking over quite well. They were very successful. Within a year of their foundation, they owned 75% of London's buses. And they sort of wanted to have a unified colour that showed people that was their bus. And there are already certain things in London that are that classic colour, red. Mm-hmm. Please refer back to our previous episode on colours. Pantone 485C, if we're being specific.
Thank you very much.
So by the time the buses became red, in London in particular, you already had post boxes. They'd started cropping up all over the place.
Yep.
They were that particular shade of red. You already had Royal Guards, their uniforms that were that colour.
Yep.
And of course the red in the Union flag and so on and so on. So that colour was already around. So the LGOC, looking for a particular colour for their buses, thought, well, that's quite a nice patriotic colour. Everyone will associate that with London, so we'll do that. And then it was sort of after it really took off with the buses that it sort of became the official colour. So then you start getting telephone boxes and restaurants and branding and things like that, as you say.
A lot of red
copy
around.
That colour.
Yeah.
The first London bus route was set up by a fellow called George Shillabeer, who created a route from Paddington Station to the Bank of England as London was sort of getting bigger and bigger, more and more people.
So you'd come in from the West Country or from the West to Paddington Station.
To Paddington,
and then you get from there to the city.
Yeah.
And
also from the suburbs. You sort of had this shift in the mid-1800s where more and more people started living in the suburbs and commuting into the centre of town for work. And he sort of jumped on this idea and set up the first London bus route then.
I mean, apparently it was a shilling to do this, which is equivalent to today to £4.
Okay.
Which is about double the cost of a bus ride in London today.
Yeah. So it wasn't for the everyman. No. It was for the sort of middle-class bank workers and city workers and so on.
Absolutely. So London buses were all different colours.
Yeah.
Rather than different numbers.
When did they get numbers then?
Well, I looked into numbering, and I'll tell you what we're going to do. Rather than go into numbering now, why don't we send people to the blog? So if you go to Factoraly.com.
Factoraly.com?
That's the one. You'll find a blog. You'll find all about today's episode, and you'll find lots of interesting facts in it, including how they numbered buses in London.
There you go. Perfect. I want to know the answer now. I'll have to go onto our own blog and find out.
I can tell you that Route 1 was the first one.
Give us a brief rundown.
Okay. So it was all about sort of whether it's a single decker, a double decker, whether it's a countryside one or an urban one. So there's all sorts of reasons why they were given numbers.
Okay.
And then if it was like a slight detour off a route, or if they changed the route, they would. If it was like the number 17 bus and they changed the route, they would call it like a 217 bus.
Oh, I see.
So you still got the 17 in it, but it's just changed slightly.
Got you. Okay.
So Route 1 was the first one.
Makes sense.
As you can imagine.
You wouldn't start at 6, would you? That would be silly.
No, that would be silly. So that was in operation by November 1908.
Okay.
And that route has actually changed a bit since it was introduced back then. But the 24 bus, which actually, the number 1 and the number 24 go quite close to my house, which is nice. But the number 24 is the oldest still running route that's the same route.
Oh, really?
And that was operating between Pimlico and Hampstead Heath in 1911, and it still is.
Gosh, that's good going.
You know this thing about sort of three arriving at once?
Oh, yes, yeah.
So that's true.
Is it?
Yeah. There's a guy who's a PhD student in California, Louis Lay, and he's worked out why it happens. And it happens because of people and traffic lights and things.
Right.
So if you have two buses, one starting much later than the first one, but the first one picks up all the passengers.
Yes.
So it's delayed with passengers getting on and off, and also traffic lights and what have you. Whereas the second one is sort of speeding along, not picking anybody up.
Oh, it has the chance to catch up.
So it catches up and then it overtakes.
Oh, I see.
So then that one starts to pick up the passengers, and the one that's got all the passengers on it already is like stuck behind that one. And then the third one that comes along. So there is actually a method in the madness of the three coming along at once.
That's brilliant. Oh, isn't it nice when something can be scientifically proven?
Yeah, there's a little game which proves the theory, which, again, I'll put a link to on the show notes.
Great.
Route 25 in London is the busiest one.
Is it?
It runs between Oxford Circus and Ilford.
Okay.
The latest figures I have for it are 2015-2016, when it carried 19.4 million passengers.
Crikey. That's a lot of just on that one route.
Yep.
Good grief.
I mean, they do carry a lot of people.
They do, yes. You can tell this by virtue of how difficult it is to get on some of them.
Yes. So according to TfL, London's buses carry about 6.5 million passengers a day.
Wow.
That's more than the whole population of Scotland.
Wow.
And those 6.5 million passengers account for more than half of all bus journeys made in England. So Londoners really make a big use of buses.
Yeah. No wonder it's become such an icon.
Yes, exactly.
Speaking of icons, when you think of a London bus, like a proper good old-fashioned London bus, the type of old London bus that sort of has half the front missing.
Yes.
It has, a platform you can hop on and off at the back. It's got that winding staircase going up to the upper deck. That's a Routemaster. And the Routemaster, I was quite surprised at how brief a period Routemasters were made, but then for how long they carried on being used. So the first Routemaster was built in 1954. And the last one was built in 1968, so that's only a period of 14 years. But Routemasters were still running until 2005. So by the time they were disbanded, the oldest Routemaster London bus would have been sort of 40, 50 years old.
Wow. Because that took over from the Regent, didn't it? There was an older bus called the RT, the Regent.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
And that ran, I mean, by comparison, quite a short period, like 1946 to 57. So
yes.
11 years.
Yeah.
But you still see those around sort of as wedding things, don't you?
Yes, they're novelty things, aren't they? There's sort of historical bus tours and private hire and things like that.
But the RM is really the iconic one.
It is, yeah.
It's a bit special.
The Routemaster was voted in 2006. It was voted one of Britain's top 10 design icons.
Wow.
Which the list included things like the Concorde, Mini, the Spitfire, the London Tube Map, and the London Phone Box. So
yes,
it's right up there.
It's one of those things, isn't it? You get shortbread in a London Phone Box or a London bus.
Yes, that's right, you do, yeah. Yeah. It's just sort of the proof of the fact that you've been to London. You've come home with a bus-shaped magnet or a key ring or something.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. And then they brought in a new bunch of Routemasters in 2012, just in time for the London Olympics. They designed a new bus that was quite clearly modern and sleek, well, as sleek as a double-decker bus can be.
Yeah.
But it did look vaguely Routemaster-esque. It sort of had that black sweeping spiral up the back of it where the stairs are. And
they're hybrids as well, so they're sort of slightly better for the environment.
Yes, the first time I got in one of them and realised every seat had a USB charger embedded into the back of the chair in front. I thought, oh, wow, progress.
Yeah. They're special. And when they seem to stall at bus stops, they're kind of like the engine just switches off.
Yes,
and then they move off again without the engine running, and then the engine kicks in. They're wonderful to be on.
Yeah. One of the most famous Routemaster buses, of course, is 3 stories high and purple.
Okay. What have you been drinking?
Butterbeer. So the night bus from Harry Potter.
The night bus.
Was a purple triple-decker bus, which takes witches and wizards wherever they need to go in an emergency. And for the shooting of the Harry Potter film, they just got an old Routemaster, sheared the roof off it, built another deck on top, and painted it purple. And that was the night bus.
So they've got a triple decker?
Yeah.
Like a Cadbury's? No, that's a double decker.
That's a double decker. A double decker plus half.
I heard that they couldn't get it under some bridges. So what they would do is they would take the top layer off and then drive it under the bridge and then put the top layer back on again, the other side of the bridge.
Oh, brilliant. What fun.
I think it was Lego's, one of Lego's best-selling kits.
Yes, or at least most expensive kits.
Yeah, I mean, they're all
one
expensive.
Or the other.
Yes.
Yeah. See our previous episode on Lego.
Yes. Some buses go quite a long way.
Yes.
We talked about the longest bus route in London is like 23 miles.
Yeah.
And that goes from Heathrow to Croydon.
Okay.
But there are much, much longer bus routes.
Are there?
There used to be one called the Hippie Bus.
Right.
That went from London to Calcutta.
But there's water in between those two places, Bruce.
Only a little bit. Only the channel.
Right, I suppose so, yeah. Huh, okay.
Because it would go through lots of different places. It ran about 15 times. So that it was 32,000 kilometres long. It's about sort of 20,000 miles.
Gosh.
And you could eat on it, you could sleep on it. And it ran between sort of 1968 and 1976. Crikey.
It kind of sounds like Cliff Richard's summer holiday movie, doesn't it?
We're going where the sun shines brightly, i.e. Calcutta.
Yes.
Well, actually, that's where he was from, wasn't he? Cliff Richard was Indian. He was born in India.
Was he?
Yeah.
Harry Webb?
Yes.
Didn't know that.
There you go.
Cool. Bonus facts.
But there's also another long one, which actually still runs today,
right.
Which is called the Transoceania.
Okay.
And it's the Interoceanic Highway. And it runs between Lima, Peru, and Rio de Janeiro, Brazil.
Does it?
So from Peru to Brazil.
Cool.
It's like 2,600 kilometres long, about 1,600 miles. It takes 100 hours. So it's a long time sitting down.
Right. So you wouldn't want to sit on it non-stop, would you?
No, I would hope that they have like comfort breaks.
Yeah. Crikey.
On that bus route. Yeah.
I had a quick look at trolley buses.
Oh, yes. So are those the ones that have the electric thing on the top?
Yes, that's right, but they don't have the tracks.
Oh, okay.
So you've got trams are the ones with tracks, or in America, streetcars.
Right.
But trolley buses have the overhead power lines, but they have rubber tyres. They're not fixed to a track. They are just a bus. And these things sort of started off in the 1880s. They actually took over from quite a lot of tram services around the world because they're a bit more flexible. They're a bit cheaper to run. They've got better grip going up and down hills.
Mm-hmm. And they go clang, clang, clang.
No, that's the right. So, yes.
She says clang, clang, clang went the trolley.
Goes the trolley. Yes, I know. That's a good point, actually. I would need to further research as to whether that is talking about a trolley bus or a tram.
Or we could ask the Factoralytes.
Oh, there you go. They'll know. Yeah.
So if you know the difference, or you can tell us why that one goes clang, clang, clang,
yes,
then please let us know either at hello@factoraly.com or on Facebook, or just send a pigeon.
Or just shout really loud.
Yes,
we'll hear you. Yeah, so the trolley bus was invented in 1882 by a German fella. So the bus service invented by the French, the trolley bus invented by the Germans.
Okay.
Not sure what we've quite brought to the table on this one.
Red.
And yeah, red. There you go, red. And these things also don't get in the way quite so much as a tram, which is obviously fixed to a track in the middle of the road. The trolley buses, the arms that go up to gather the electricity from the overhead wires are pivotable, so the bus can move left and right. Pivotable. So the bus can move across lanes in and out of the traffic, so they're a lot more flexible.
Yes.
And there were 300 trolley bus systems across 43 countries in the world at one point, so they were quite prolific. I didn't really realise this.
When was this?
1882. They were first invented.
Electric vehicles.
Yeah,
in 1882.
Yeah.
Wow.
Odd, isn't it? In the UK, we had some trolley bus services. We first got them in 1911 in Leeds and Bradford, were the first places to have them here. The Bradford one only closed in 1972.
Wow.
So that was going for quite a while. And they still exist in certain places. America has a few trolley bus services, so does Europe. These days they have electric batteries on board, so that as they're running through one area where the overhead power lines are, they can then disconnect, put the connectors away onto the roof of the bus, use the battery for a little while, and then reconnect to the power lines at another place.
How clever.
They're cheap, they're quite efficient to run. But yes, I didn't really realise they were a thing until now.
Because there was a motorised bus that was invented by Carl Benz of Mercedes-Benz fame.
Another German.
I know, 1895.
Oh, okay, right.
But then the French took that idea and opened up the first motorised bus line in 1906. So 1906, the first motorised bus route.
That doesn't seem right, does it? That seems way too early.
I know, it's crazy.
Gosh.
You mentioned streetcars in America. Obviously, the most famous one was the Tennessee Williams streetcar named...
Oh, the one named Desire.
Desire.
Yeah.
And actually, Desire was a street, Desire Street, in New Orleans, which it's like near Canal Street.
Okay.
So the Canal Street streetcar finished at Desire Street. So it actually said Desire on the front of the.
Oh, I see. Is that why it's called Desire?
Yes.
Ah, it's actually its destination.
Yes.
Well, there you go.
So at this point, we normally talk about records, but and Simon's the record meister, as we're talking German. But I've got a record. Do you know what I've got?
Go on.
I've got a record for a quick bus.
Go on then.
A very quick bus. So Paul Stender, who is a bit of a petrol head from America, and his team of engineers, they modified a typical yellow American school bus,
right,
with a General Electric J74 jet engine from McDonnell Douglas F4 Phantom.
Okay.
So they have a jet-powered bus. And that set a record for a bus at 590 kilometres an hour.
Oh, my goodness.
That's 367 miles an hour. That's going to get you from one stop to the next very quickly.
Yeah, isn't it? They're not necessarily the most aerodynamic of vehicles,
They
are
don't fall over, though. There are videos of London buses going on skid pans and not falling over. So they're quite steady. But I don't know how the American school bus is.
Yes.
So Simon, you must have other records for buses.
Yep, I've got a few. I've got you mentioned earlier on the longest bus route. I found the longest bus journey.
Okay.
Which lasted just over a year.
A year?
A year. So in 1988, three fellas from London, it doesn't actually say where they got the bus from, but they acquired a London bus.
Okay.
And they headed off in November 1988 and came back in December 1989. And they went through Hamburg, Milan, Rio de Janeiro. Again, water. Presumably they got on a boat at some point. I don't know.
One would hope.
Los Angeles, various other places in America, and then back home. That lasted a year. Again, very, very Cliff Richard.
Yes.
I've found the longest distance for a bus to be pulled by ears.
It's going to be one of those television things, isn't it? The world's strongest ears.
Yeah, something like that, yeah. In 2008, a gentleman called Majid Singh from Loughborough tied some ropes to his ears and tied the other end to a bus and pulled it for 6.1 metres.
This used to be a thing, didn't it? It's like the world's strongest man thing would be on TV, and they'd be doing all sorts, like pulling buses along with their teeth.
Yes, that's right. I remember that one, actually, yeah. I found the longest career bus driver. A gentleman called Carl Fisher from Missouri was a school bus driver for 66 years. And he'd sort of been there for so long, he ended up with 3 generations of the same family riding to and from school on his bus route, which I thought was rather charming.
I do know of another bus driver called Albert Gunther.
Okay.
And he was driving his double-decker bus. He was driving a number 78. This was back in December 1952.
Right.
And what happened was, as he was driving along across Tower Bridge, it started going up.
Oh, heck.
So I thought, what if he'd braked, he would have gone tipped over the edge and gone into the Thames.
Oh.
So he basically just put his foot down and just went hell for leather and jumped the bridge.
No way.
Yeah.
In a London
He had
bus.
20 passengers on board.
Oh, crikey.
And only one person was injured, which was the driver, Gunther himself, who broke his leg.
Oh, wow.
But the bus was going about 12 miles an hour, and it was fine.
That doesn't really seem fast enough to jump a bridge gap, does it?
Well, I think if he had stopped, it would have got a lot worse.
Yeah. Oh, well done, Gunther.
Yeah, good old
work.
Gunther. I think what we should do is leave our Factoralites on a cliff edge.
Okay.
With a cliffhanger.
Go on.
Because there is a famous bus in the 1969 film The Italian Job.
Oh, yes, there is. Yes, the getaway bus.
It's a very annoying ending.
It is. Horrible ending.
So what they did was they filmed it, but after they'd finished filming the exteriors in Italy, the bus was transported back to the UK, and they did all the interiors back in the UK.
Oh, right, okay.
And then when they finished with the bus, it was put up for sale. I mean, you could have bought the Italian Job bus.
Oh.
The people that did was the Craw's Nest Hotel in Fife,
right,
which was run by the family of Edith Bowman, who's a radio and TV presenter.
Right.
And it was driven by her granddad, who used to use it for weddings and trips and things like that.
Yeah.
And then he sold it to somebody in Blackpool who used it as a passenger vehicle. And then they sold it to somebody who used it as a school bus in Kirriemuir near Dundee. And eventually it was bought by a racing car driver, Archie Cromer. And he transported his Formula Ford racing car to events. So actually, it ended up transporting fast cars.
Ended up being used for its original purpose.
Yes.
Great.
But it was scrapped in 1990.
Oh.
And the people who scrapped it knew that it was the bus from the Italian Job, and they still scrapped it.
Really? I would have put that in a museum somewhere.
Absolutely.
Car.
Not to worry. Well, that's all I've got on buses.
Me too. My facts have all come along at once.
Yes, the conductor has told you to get off.
Yes.
I remember actually, one last thing. When the buses used to stop, used to pull a little piece of string to ring a bell.
Yeah.
And then the conductor would ring the bell twice to tell the driver that they could move off.
Right, okay.
If you listen to the bell noise on a London bus these days, it's all electronically done and it's recorded.
Yeah.
But if you listen very carefully, you can just hear the string slapping on the roof of the bus.
Can you?
They recorded that specific noise.
Oh, so the modern bus going ding is a recording of an old-fashioned
bus going
system
ding.
with that string?
Yes.
That's brilliant. Oh.
Well, there's one to leave you with.
There's no reason for that to exist other than purely for the enjoyment of the people who made it, is
yes,
there?
Exactly.
There must have been a more efficient way of doing it, but oh, how lovely.
Isn't that good?
Very nice.
Well, thank you very much for listening.
Yes, thank you. We hope you've enjoyed yourselves. If you have enjoyed yourselves, then please go and tell all your nerdy friends about it so that they can come along and enjoy listening to us.
We know you've
too.
got nerdy friends.
Yes, you have. You have.
Yes, you can do that. Or you've already subscribed, one hopes.
Yes, I'd imagine so.
So you get this on a Thursday.
Yeah. And if you've really, really enjoyed listening to us, then we would be most grateful if you could go and give us a lovely, shiny 5-star review.
And even if you haven't, still give us a 5-star review. And,
why not?
And leave a note saying why you think this episode on buses is just brilliant.
Yes. Thank you very much. So that's all we have for you today. Please come again for another fun-filled episode of
Factoraly.
Cheerio.
Ding ding.